What if perfect digitization was simple? A few years ago, I found myself facing a document that was centuries old. An old manuscript. Fragile. Ink slightly faded. Paper yellowed by time. And yet, vibrant. This document had survived wars, revolutions, moves, perhaps even floods. And now, its survival depends on a scanner. Not an historian, not a conservatory, a scanner. And I asked myself a very simple question. What happens if we digitize this document so poorly at the very moment we think we are preserving it? For years, institutions, archives, service providers have been digitizing millions of heritage documents. Their goal is clear: to create reproductions as close as possible to the original document. Not prettier, not enhanced, faithful. Because digitizing is not interpreting, it's transmitting. But transmitting faithfully is far more complex than it seems. In the world of heritage digitization, there are very strict standards, international frameworks, FADG, ISO, or Metamorphose. These standards define color accuracy, contrast, resolution, sharpness, dynamic range, repeatability. Everything must be measurable, verifiable, reproducible. Why? Because an heritage document is not just an image file. It's evidence, a historical source, a scientific witness. An inaccurate reproduction can alter historians, conservators, legal experts' interpretations. Quality is not aesthetic. It's a prerequisite to protect our cultural heritage. But here's the problem. Complying with these standards is difficult. Very difficult. First challenge, the time. Calibrating a professional scanner can take hours. Measurement, adjustment, test, retest, verifications. Every change in environment, equipment, temperature can require a recalibration. In the world of exploding volumes, tight budget, strict deadlines, every hour counts. Second challenge, the knowledge. Understanding FADG or ISO may require a technical expertise. You need to know how to read a measurement report, interpret a delta E, understand tonal linearity, detect color drift. It's not intuitive, and it's not accessible to everyone. And this is where the gap emerges. On one side, those who follow the standards, they invest time, expertise, resources, but their processes become slower, heavier, and most costly. And on the other side, those who don't. Due to lack of time, lack of knowledge, or sometimes economic issues. The result? A sector moving at top speed. And above all, a silent inequality in the quality of digitized heritage. What this really means? Imagine two types of library digitizing the same type of books. One strictly following the standards. The others does not. 20 years from now, a researcher will study these collections. They will assume they are consulting equivalent reproductions. But in reality, some colors will have drift. Some contrast will be off. Some details will have disappeared. History will have been slightly destroyed. Not intentionally, but because of complexity. So the real question becomes, what if fidelity no longer depended on available time or expertise? What if compliance could become automatic. We live in an era where machines learn, where systems become more and more intelligent. Why should heritage digitization remain trapped into complex and manual settings? What if a scanner could self-calibrate, verify its own compliance, flag deviations, make standards accessible to everyone in just a few minutes? What we are seeing today is a new generation of tool. Scanner capable of automatically integrated requirements from standards like FADG, ISO, or Metamorphose. Calibration no longer takes hours. It becomes fast, automatic, guided. Quality control is no longer reserved for experts. It becomes understandable, readable, actionable. And suddenly, something changes profoundly. A new chapter opens before us. It is no longer a question of technical ability. It's a question of heritage equity. When compliance becomes simple, when quality becomes accessible, when complexity is absorbed by the tool, then adhering to standards is no longer a luxury. It becomes a universal baseline. It transforms institutions, service providers, but the most important, it transforms our relationship to heritage. Digitizing faithfully is not just capturing pixels. It is transmitting intention, material, human trace, every nuance of paper, every variation of ink, every imperfection. All of it tells a story. And we have the responsibility not to simplify it. When I think back to this old manuscript, its fragility, its resilience, for centuries, it depended on human care. Today, it also depends on technological precision. The question is no longer, will we digitize? The question is, how do we ensure what we transmit is faithful? Technology should not complicate preservation. It should democratize excellence. When a smart scanner makes calibration automatic and quality control accessible, it doesn't just speed up your process. It protects the integrity of knowledge. In 100 years, historians may not know which scanner was used, but they will see or not see certain details. And those details will make all the difference. So, if we have the opportunity to make fidelity simple, if we can transform a constraint into an automatic process, then we have the duty to do so. Because preserving heritage is not just about saving the past. It is about respecting the future. And today, Digibook has developed the solution.